This is the second video that I'm gonna end up doing. The first video that I did was just the story of facts of what they was doing during the last court hearing, and can't really explain everything within an hour. When you end up doing stuff like this for the first time, like I am, you don't realize that the amount that you're explaining, the time does go by fast, and you don't realize that in the last moment is the same as the appellate court. When you end up going to the appellate court and it's like you're trying to explain everything all at once, but you're not able to. When you go to the appellate court, you're not able to submit any new evidence. And my understanding is that they said that the only evidence that they're able to submit is only what's in the courtroom. So it's kind of hard to defend yourself. But it's also kind of weird that the fact that you're the only one that showed up, because every person that you served paper to decided not to show up. So it's kind of hard when it comes up to this situation, because it's like you have to defend yourself regarding of all of this stuff and everything. And it's like trying to explain to a judge that, you know, they're not doing right by the statement because they only submitted one, and it was just the state of Florida. But as you can see here, this is when I was explaining the first video, it was just basically going back and forth. So it was like pages that I got from papers that I kind of put in order. So you wasn't able to see like the full statement. There was one that actually did kind of show like the statement and everything, but it didn't show like all the statement. So this video is basically showing all the statements from Florida and Connecticut. So here, you can see is that you see a couple 2019, 117, and then the rest is 16. If this is just 15, 13, 12, 11, and then as I showed you before, this is basically all the paperwork that I end up having. And then this is the state of Florida. Now, the state of Florida, as you can see before, like I told you, you don't really see too much of payments of child Florida statement. When you end up going all the way to the end, now when I end up showing this, it will show 2010, 11. This one actually goes from the beginning all the way to the end. The state of Connecticut always ends up showing like the end all the way to the beginning. So this one is like it shows 2011, 12, 12, 13, 14. These are 2017. Now, how I end up showing you this one as the state of Connecticut, I end up showing that you only had like a couple that is 2017, and then the rest was all 2019, and the rest was 18. So this one, it shows all 18s. You don't see no 19 at all in here, but you do see a lot of 18s and a lot of 17s. 17s, you only had one. 18 at all, nothing at all, and then you had a bunch of 19. And this is one of the reasons why I end up saying that they're not really paying attention of the amount, and this is the reason why I'm being stuck in a situation where I'm constantly always paying for stuff, because technically the courtroom issue that the state of Connecticut was the only one that is supposed to deal with child support. They're the main person that end up dealing with it. The money is supposed to come out here first in Connecticut, then Florida. So the problem is that you got them taking out the state of Connecticut. It's the state of Connecticut that takes that, and then the state of Florida takes the Florida taxes. Now they're not matching at all, and when they come up to them not matching at all, and it was mentioned in the courtroom several times that the state of Florida is not supposed to be involved in child support. But what the mother did was that the moment that the first court hearing finished, when we end up doing the final ruling and all of this stuff, or technically I'm the one that did the final ruling, that I brought it to the court because I was trying to bring my daughter back and everything, and they did not allow me to bring my daughter back. what they end up stating was that the state of Connecticut is the only one who is held responsible for child support, and only the state of Connecticut. But unfortunately, Florida been actually interfering in my income tax, because the moment that statement was done, she went to the state of Florida and opened another case over there in Florida. So now I got two cases, one in Florida and one in Connecticut. Um, Basically, she started the whole thing with the child support, and basically they've been attacking me financially too as well. So it's like one of those things where state of Connecticut does not really showing the statement of what they have here in Connecticut. And even if they do end up showing the statement that they have here in Connecticut, I'm assuming that what they're doing is that they're just sending what Florida has, and they're not sending what Florida doesn't have, vice versa, when it comes up to that situation. So it's like when you try to fight for your child, and you know, fighting for custody and fighting for child support is two totally different cases. I just want to stay out there. Now, I'm not a lawyer or any of that situation, but this is my understanding is that when you fight for your child support have nothing to do with you fighting for your child, as visitation rights and all of this stuff and everything. Now, every time that I end up fighting for my daughter, one was for a court hearing for me to see my daughter, contempt of order and everything, and they all kept bringing child support, and they basically made the court, basically made the cases about child support. They did not made it about my rights of seeing my daughter, that she's violating the rights and all of that stuff. They kind of skipped that situation, and they just talk about child support, and that's where everything start getting kind of like hazy, because it's like you have too many people that are involved in child support, and there's like every time they go into the courtroom, they always end up saying something that is not true. And when you go in there, it's like their word is more powerful than yours. So even if you turn around and you tell the court system like that's not right, but so many times where the courtroom end up telling me for me to go to child support after this for them to fix it, but they never do. It's like the moment I go show up over there, they get to say whatever they want, they get to do whatever they want regarding of the situation. And I brought it to the attention to the court if I can record, or the conversation can be recorded when I go over there to the state of, to child support enforcement, because they're not doing what they're doing, and they're saying so many things that they're not supposed to be saying, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's kind of hard to fight somebody without having backup. And what I mean about that is that, you know, you can't fight and saying like this is wrong, and no matter how badly you keep saying that is wrong, and even if you show evidence or whatever the situation is, they still don't do nothing regarding of that. Because it's like I feel like what they're doing is that they're attacking people through their children by financially, and you're giving people power that should not have power. And I think, like I said before, I think that child support is one of the agency that is having too much power, and they should not have power. I have talked to several different managers regarding of this situation, and yet they still want to protect their own employees instead of firing them when they're doing something wrong and illegal. And unfortunately, this is the situation that we are. As I said before, is what I find messed up is that you would rather lie in a document and send a child to Florida at the time when the beginning of the pandemic, no medicine was, no vaccine was created at the time and everything, and people was dying. You know, people was getting arrested for acting for fake coughing, and they was charged for act of terrorist, and yet, you know, you're still allowing people from the state, workers that are not doing their job and basically doing whatever they want and endangering people's children and everything. And it's like you can't fight something that, you know, you have too many people that is protecting each other. And this is one of the situations that fortunately that I had to endure since my daughter left the state of Connecticut. And like I said before, it's just one of those things that no matter how much you want to fight and protect your children and you want to do all of this stuff and everything, but it's like you can't, because it's like you're kind of being watched. And the reason why I'm saying that you're kind of being watched is not because I'm trying to be like a conspiracy type of situation, but you're kind of being watched where you have to watch what you end up saying. If you end up cursing at them or threatening them, but it's not like you're threatening them, you know, it's not like it's not like I'm trying to say like it's like you're threatening their life and everything, but it's like you're threatening them, saying like, yo, you better back away from my kid type of situation. But it's just one of those things that even if you end up doing stuff like that, all it's going to end up happening is that you're the one who's going to get arrested. They're not the one who's going to get in trouble or any of that situation. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, where you have to be careful what you end up saying and what you end up doing, because it's like they're paying attention and they're trying to mess with you to the point where they're pushing every single button just to see if you're going to mess up so badly, so then they can put that on you. And that's unfortunately where I have to be in a situation where I have to rethink and think how I end up doing or saying things and everything, because it's like they will use that against you no matter which way you see it. And it's like one of those situations where it's like I feel like it's like they're controlling your output of the way you think and the way you live and all of this stuff and everything. And it's like they're stripping, your emotions and all of this stuff and everything. And it's like it's a life that I don't choose towards people, because it's like, to have somebody who's using your child as a weapon against you, and it's like you have to be careful how to use it. I mean, how to talk, and you don't want to live that life. And that's fortunately the life that I basically had to endure, where I had to be careful how I end up saying things, or how to talk, or whatever the situation, or even when the police officer got involved. And that is, no matter how much I wanted to beat the crap out of the person that was there in that situation, you can't, because it's like the moment you end up doing that, now you have police officers saying that you're being the aggressive and all of this stuff and everything. And it's just one of those things where you have to really bite your tongue, and to the point where it's very painful. It's like you have to like literally control yourself to the point where it's the same as right now, as I'm kind of like fumbling and trying to think of words and all of this stuff and everything, because it's like it's one of those things that is kind of hard for you to be put in a situation, because it's like you have to think, and it's like hard for you to think what to do, what to say, without jeopardizing your life in the court system eyes or in the law eyes and all of this stuff and everything. And it's just one of those things where sometimes it's kind of hard for you to move forward when it comes up to that situation. And fortunately, that's the life that I'm in right now. And it's like it's kind of hard to struggle, especially when you're injured. But it's just one of those things, like I said, it's kind of hard to explain unless if you actually experience. If you don't experience, you won't really understand exactly what's happening. I can explain to so many people, but every time I explain to people, all they end up saying is like, "Nah, you're full of shit. There's no way that you end up saying this, that is happening in the courtroom and everything." And it's like you have to show them proof for them to understand. And this is the reason why I'm doing this, is to end up showing my story and explain what exactly was going on, and showing every evidence that I have. I mean, I wish I can show all my evidence, but I don't have all my evidence. As I said it to the previous first video, that my lawyer ended up taking my evidence, and he's charging me money to get my evidence back. And like I said, it's just one of the biggest nightmares that I've ever been in my life, where they scare the shit out of you, and they send your child to an environment like that, and it's like you don't know what exactly was going to happen, because people dying off of this, kids are starting to get the virus and everything. And it's just one of those things where you just baffled. You don't know what to do. One of the reasons why it took me so long for me to explain the situation, it was because I felt in a deep depression. And it's one of those things where you have to kind of snap out of it when somebody puts you in that type of depression. It still hurts regarding of the situation, but it's like, I went to therapy to talk to people regarding of the situation that I was in. And it's kind of hard for you to kind of like focus and kind of think regarding of how to act, because it's like you want to show anger, you want to show all of this stuff and everything, and it's not like I said before, I don't think suicidal, I don't think violence, because I don't want violence regarding of the situation, because no matter which way you end up seeing out of all of the outcome with violence, suicidal thoughts, or doing something stupid, none of them is going to end up helping you be with your child. And those are the things that is more important for me to actually do in my life, that to end up not doing nothing stupid or idiotic, because I still want to be in my kid's life. I don't want to be in one of those situations where you have people that pushes you so much to the edge, where some people do snap, and unfortunately they end up falling victims to what they end up doing. And I don't think that is fair that some people do actually get away with that. I just, like I said in the first video, I think that when it comes up for children, I don't care what color the skin color, if the children, nobody should mess with somebody's child. At the end of the day, it's that person's child. They should be the one, protecting the child. It's not like I'm trying to say that every parent out there is the best. But if a parent that is trying to protect this child or trying to be in the child's life, I don't think nobody should use that against them. I think that's one of the saddest thing in the world. I mean, I wish I can use the actual word that I'm having in my head, but fortunately, you can't use that type of profanity words. But it's just sad that when it comes up to that situation, how you have some people in the state that works in the state that are not doing their job, and they're attacking people literally through their child. Is, like I said, it's just one of the things that I try to talk to so many people regarding of my situation, seeing if I can find somebody like that. The only one person that I know that went through something like that was my uncle. God rest his soul, he passed away, but it was just one of those things where that, a person that dies with depression and all of this stuff, and that's the same as what he did, he was considered to be the black sheep of the family. Fortunately, as growing up as a kid, he was one of my favorite uncles. He never told us that he had kids. And, situation happened where he had to go to jail. And when he ended up going to jail, he ended up calling saying that, how could I do that to him and everything. And it's like I was telling him, I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was just a child. And, what he ended up telling me was that, how can you just stand there and just watch your cousin almost died, and you couldn't even be there nowhere near him, nowhere near them, and trying to help them and all of this stuff. And it's like, I told him, like, dude, I never knew you had kids. And, as a kid, you won't you don't fully understand adult conversation. As much as you can turn around and you can say that you can be a smart kid and everything, you don't really fully grasp every single thing that is happening to an adult, because in reality you can't experience or understanding that type of knowledge without you actually experiencing yourself, or you getting older. And over the time, when I finally ended up finding out what happened to him and everything, it was just pretty much basically the same thing that that is happening to me now. And I wish I can just turn around and I can talk to him and talk to him about the situation and everything. But when he died, he didn't want family to be nowhere near him. He just wanted his ashes just to get cremated, and his ashes burn and basically scattered, and just he did not want none of his family members to be in his funeral. And it's one of the saddest thing in the world, to see somebody to pass away and not have his family there to send their farewells and end up saying goodbye to a beloved person. But in his eyes, like, he felt like he didn't have that much love from none of his families. And that's one of the saddest things that you can see in a person that end up dying like that. It's just nobody should ever suffer from that type of pain when it comes up to that. And I wish I could understand him as a kid and basically, talk to him and comfort him and all of this stuff and everything. But, as a kid, you can't really comfort anybody because it's not like you understand the depth of what he went. And during those times and everything, racism was actually bigger because you didn't have social media. You didn't have none of that stuff and everything. And it's scary for some people to end up enduring that type of pain back then and not really understanding what somebody went through and the pain that they went through. And it's like he wasn't able to use his First Amendment. He didn't know about his First Amendment rights or any of that situation. Fortunately, my uncle and my father and his brothers and sisters, they end up growing up the farm life over there in Puerto Rico as they was young. They left school to take care of the farm and everything. That was their generation. I can't really, degrade them or degrade my grandparents for what they did. That was a different generation. It was a generation that I can't really understand. I mean, I can understand to a certain point, but not literally fully understand exactly what they end up going through. I mean, their era at their time was basically heroin and cocaine. They have movies about that back in those generation, based on true stories, where that was one of the biggest drugs that they actually had back in those days. Unfortunately, my generation, I think the most that I remember was mostly weed. You did had some people that did weed in embalming fluid, angel dust mixed with it. Cocaine was still there. I mean, it's still there. Like all the drugs is still there, but it's just every generation is always different about the certain drugs that they end up having. One of the things that I end up finding out that in this generation for kids is that their choice of drugs that they're doing is mostly pills and all of this stuff and everything. And, you notice it over the years when you get older. Everything is always different. It's not the same when it comes up to anything. My generation was always baggy clothes. This new generation is the same thing that like I tell my nephew and we joke about it, is that the generation that these kids end up doing is what our grandparents did of clothes wise, tight clothes, all of that stuff and everything. And our generation was always mocking them for wearing tight clothes and all of that stuff. And same as our generation is the baggy clothes, but every generation is always going to be the same. It's always going to be different. It's never going to be the same. You may have some that is, copying from other generation and all of this stuff and everything, but it's just one of those things. I don't want to continue about, people's choice of clothing and all of this stuff because I'm going out of topic. But that's just the way it was when it came up for my uncle. It's just very sad to see somebody to die like that and not really have the chance to know his own kids. And living in a world where somebody's just stripping that away from you and not even allowing you to experience not even a fracture of what it is to be a father. It's just one of those situations that you have to feel bad for a person because it's like nobody should have the power to do that. You both created a kid. I think you both should be held responsible for child support. I believe that with a passion. I think that if people start doing things 50-50, as 1 week one person pays for everything, the other week the other person pays for everything, and both parents should be responsible, not just one. And I think that they're abusing that situation because it's like you have government grants where they give the mothers assistance and all of that stuff and everything, and that falls real hard on a father when it comes up to that situation, because not only that when it comes up for them paying for child support, now they're going to put everything on them when it comes up for cash assistance, the mother ended up using it and he had to pay for it. And it's not fair that you have a person that is trying to pay for child support, trying to keep a roof over his head for he can see his child, or for the child to have a bed, a roof over his head, or sorry, over the child's heads and all of this stuff. But it's kind of hard because now they have to be responsible for every single thing. And it's not like I'm trying to, once again, it's not like I'm trying to degrade mothers out there, because there are some mothers out there that are willing to protect their children's environment, mental health, and want the kid to be in the father's life and everything. And you do have mothers out there, so it's not like I'm trying to say that every mother in this world are bad mothers, because there are good mothers out there, just the same as there's good fathers out there. And pretty much that's how I'm going to end the conversation, because it's like I feel like I'm right now rambling, and I don't want to continue doing that. But this is what I'm going to end up doing, is that I'm going to end up showing 2 videos. The first one is how the court system kind of screwed me over, and child support, my lawyers, and second video is just showing the statements. It is going to be posted on a slideshow on the third video, so everything that I have is going to be in a slideshow, where I'm not going to be in the video. It's just going to be just a regular slideshow where it shows all the evidence and paperwork, the stuff that I had to do to try to get my daughter back, regarding of the situation. I don't want to give too much information. I still want to keep that kind of private. I know that my daughter never wanted me to do this, but the one thing that my daughter don't understand is that what I went through, I don't want no other parents to go through. And I love her to death. She's always going to be on my heart, and that's never going to change. She's exactly just like me. I am proud of her for her accomplishment and what she had to endure and everything. It's just the one thing I did not wanted her to have was my depression. And that's what I was trying to tell her. There's times where she ended up telling me that, she's just like me. She is just like me in every way. It's just the thing, like I told her, it's just, you have my depression, and that's the one thing I don't want you to have. And, she ended up telling me, is that so hard for me to be just like you and everything? And it's like, I told her, I'm like, I want you to be like yourself. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be yourself. You may have certain things of me, and I am happy that you do have those qualities. But one of them, like I said, it was the depression. She's not one of those kids that does stupid shit. She has a good head on her shoulder and everything. And one of the things that I admire her the most is just the way how she was built. The reason why I'm saying it like that is just, she was put in a bad situation, and she got tougher over the years because of that. As she went through pain, don't get it wrong, she went through pain and all of that stuff, but I am proud of what she was able to accomplish with that. And that was one of the things that I was very proud of her, was that she was able to overcome a lot of things on her own. I wish I can guide her through that, and through that pain and everything, but she did good, and I'm always going to be proud of her for that. Fortunately, I was not able to see her graduation. And one of the saddest things for parents to not to see their kids' accomplishment. I can't even pronounce it. Right now, not trying to get emotional. It just, like I said, it's just one of those things that it is hard for certain parents for them to go through this in life, or they're not able to express themselves or have I don't know how to explain it, but have their own voice. Use their First Amendment rights and everything when it comes up to the situation. It's kind of hard. People are afraid to use the First Amendment, because like I said in the other video, it's just fear. Um, they just hopefully, most parents, is just the way they think is this, that they just hope that the children sooner or later realize that they made a mistake, and they come looking for them, and reconnect their bonds and stuff like that. But when it comes up to that type of situation, it's like, not only do you have to wait 18 years just to see your kids, and then your kids can turn around and be grown-ups, you want them to go on their own and experience life the way it is and everything. So now you have to wait for another amount of years. And I think that's just something that certain parents have to endure. And I believe that a lot of fathers go through that emotion and pain. And I don't want to say that it's only fathers, because there are some mother out there that are good. They probably end up making a mistake, and they're trying to fix or rectify their situation to to be in their kid's life and everything. And it's just, like I said, it's just sometimes communicating with parents can be hard. But the one that suffers the most is mostly the kids, and that's one of the things that I believe, that mostly in the courtrooms and everything, kids are the ones that get hit the hard. Even though the parents do get hit harder, but kids get hit harder because that's the time where they don't fully understand life. They don't understand what's going on, because they're not paying for rent. They're not paying for bills. They don't understand that when you're out there on your own and you're trying to live a life and trying to keep a roof over your head, they don't see that until they go through that in life, and they end up realizing in the last moment, like, should have listened to my parents, or I should have listened to my uncle or my aunt, or whoever gave them advice and saying like, hey, you have to go by life by this. But it just, like I said, it's just one of those things that you have to learn it the hard way. You learn it on the moment that it happens to you. You don't fully understand it when you're not going through that. You don't get that fear when you get a kid. When you get kids, you do get fear. And most parents get fear for on certain kids. They know which one is going to be responsible, which one is not going to be responsible, and it's just one of those things where you do have fear when it comes up to that. But it does not mean that you have love and joy when you have your kids and everything, because it's like, no matter which way you see it, you're always going to be proud of your kids for their accomplishments. Can't even pronounce it again. It just, like I said, it's just one of those things where you're trying to explain everything, and it just, like I said before, it's just one of those, you're trying to use the right word, you're trying to do all of this stuff, and you're trying not to be nervous, but it's kind of hard for you to do a video like this, like I'm doing right now. I never done it before. I've never been a social media influencer. It's just one of those things where you have it or you don't have it. And in my situation, I really don't have it. Literally, I'm scared shitless just doing this video. I know I'm going to have people probably comment on this, and even if they do, I might have some bad comments. I might have some good comments, depending what is the situation. I'm not really going to pay attention to the bad comments, because at the end of the day, it's their opinion. I'm not going to get mad regarding of the situation. But if this does get viral, or this does not get viral, and I do have people that is commenting and they're just acting stupid, you are going to get deleted out of this page, and you will get blocked. This is just a parent that's trying to be in their kid's life and everything, and to have somebody to degrade them for trying or to voice his opinion is just one of those things that I'm not going to tolerate. If this does happen, I'm not trying to get like a 15-minute fame type of situation. It's just, I don't want this to happen to another parent. And when it comes up to the pain and suffering that I went to and what I endured, like I said, I don't wish this upon my enemy. and I don't want this to happen to another person, and this is the reason why I'm doing the video. I already tried to go to the law and trying to ask for help, and I've been denied for every single lawyer that I went through. I mean, I have records of every different lawyer that I talked to, and each one of them end up denying me for any type of assistance or help or any of that situation. I just, like I said, I'm just gonna end it like this. I know I already said that already, but it's like I said, I just one of those things that you feel like you still have to express yourself. But I am gonna end this like this, and I wish everybody well, and I wish that nobody's going through this type of situation, and I wish that every kid out there in this life can actually experience what it is to be a kid. I experienced my life out there playing around, but that's a different story. So I'm going to end up saying my farewell when it comes up to this situation. I'm assuming this is the last page for the state of Florida. But I will say my goodbye.